29th seed. Wimbledon. First Filipino ever. Not first this year, first in history. Over 100 years of that tournament, and not one player from the Philippines had ever walked in seated. Not one. And when they told Manny Pacquiao, the greatest Filipino athlete who ever lived, he went on national television and said he was proud of her. She is 21 years old. She learned tennis from a grandfather who is no longer alive to see any of this. And she is just getting started. Here is what you need to understand about the Philippines and tennis. In every other major sport, Filipinos have someone to look up to. Basketball, you have a whole culture built around it. Boxing, you have Pacquiao. But tennis? Professional women's tennis? There was nobody. Not one Filipino woman had ever cracked the WTA Top 100. Not one had ever made it to a Grand Slam main draw as a seeded player. There was no path, no blueprint, no older player you could call and ask, how did you do it? What does it feel like? What do you do when it gets hard? There was nothing. So when a little girl in Quezon City picked up a tennis racket at 4 years old and fell in love with the game, she was not following in anyone's footsteps. She was about to make her own. Her name is Alexandra Eala. Most people outside the Philippines still do not know that name. They are about to. She grew up at a country club in Pasig, not a rich kid who had everything story, because tennis is never that simple. Her first coach was not a professional. He was not a former tour player. He was her grandfather. His name was Roberto Maniego. Everyone called him Lolo Bob. He was a club player, an amateur, a man who loved the game and loved his grandchildren more. Every single day he showed up with a basket of balls and fed them to young Alex and her brother Miko on that court in Pasig. Every day. No days off. No excuses. Just a grandfather who believed in something he could not yet prove. When she was 12, she won a prestigious junior tournament in France called Les Petites As. Someone at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain was watching. They offered her a scholarship, a full scholarship, to one of the most elite tennis academies in the world. She was 13 years old. She packed a bag and she left home. Think about that for a moment. 13 years old. New country, new language, new culture. No Filipino player who had ever done this before her. No one to call. Who understood exactly what she was walking into? She left the court in Pasig and the grandfather with a basket of balls, and she flew to Spain to find out what she was made of. And Lolo Bob stayed behind. He passed away in 2019. He never saw what was coming. He never saw Wimbledon. He never saw any of it. But she did not forget a single thing he taught her. By 2025, the tennis world started to notice Alex Eala. She was climbing the rankings. She was winning matches in smaller tournaments. People inside the sport knew her name. Outside the sport, outside the Philippines, almost nobody had heard of her. Then came Miami. The 2025 Miami Open. She entered as a wild card. That means she did not even qualify properly. They gave her a spot because they wanted her in the draw. Her ranking at the time, around 140th in the world. 140th. The people she was about to face were the best players on the planet. She beat Madison Keys, world number 5. And then she walked onto the court against Iga Swiatek, the world number 2, the player who had been dominating women's tennis for years, a multiple Grand Slam champion. And Alex Eala, a 19-year-old wildcard from the Philippines, ranked 140th in the world, beat her. In the Philippines, it was like a national holiday. Social media exploded. Every sports channel was talking about her. She was not just a tennis player anymore. She was a symbol. She was proof. She was the answer to a question 115 million people had been carrying for years, which is, can one of us actually compete at the very highest level of world sport? And then came Rome, the Italian Open, just weeks after Miami. The whole world was now watching. They wanted to see if Miami was real or if it was a lucky run. And a player named Marta Kostyuk put Alex Eala down 6-0, 6-1. She lost the first 10 games. 10 games in a row. The crowd in Rome watched. The cameras captured every moment. The girl who had just beaten the world number 2 was being dismantled in under an hour on live television. The question that every doubter had been waiting to ask was suddenly very loud. Was Miami just a fluke? Here's what Eala did after Rome. Nothing dramatic. No press conference where she promised revenge. No emotional breakdown. No announcement that she was changing her game or firing her coach or reinventing herself. She went back to work. Quietly. Methodically. The way Lolo Bob taught her. Feet on the ground. Stay coachable. Keep working. And then the grass season of 2026 arrived. She went to Birmingham, England and won the tournament. Her second professional title. Then she went to Berlin as a wild card again. A player ranked in the 30s entering a WTA 500 tournament where the draw included Elena Rybakina, the world number 2, and Alina Svitolina, world number 8, 2 Grand Slam champions. Two of the most dangerous players on any surface on earth. Eala beat Rybakina. Then she walked back onto that court in Berlin and she beat Svitolina back to back. 2 Grand Slam champions on grass in the same tournament as a wild card. Greg Rusedski, a man who played professional tennis for over a decade, who reached the top 5 in the world, who competed at Wimbledon more times than most people can count, said this publicly on record. He said, to beat Rybakina and Svitolina back-to-back is so impressive. He said it was just a matter of time before she had that breakthrough. He said the grass courts help her because she is left-handed and the ball slides away with the slice serve. And then he said, I cannot wait to see what it is going to be like in her opening match at Wimbledon this year. A former world top 5 player said he cannot wait to watch her. Let that land. But here is the part that nobody is saying out loud. Wimbledon is not Birmingham. Wimbledon is not Berlin. Wimbledon is the biggest tennis tournament on earth. The draw is Aryna Sabalenka at number 1, Elena Rybakina at number 2, Iga Swiatek defending the title, Coco Gauff, Mira Andreeva, who just won the French Open. These are the players who have been winning Grand Slams for years. These are the players who practice for this moment every single day. Eala is seeded 29th. If she gets through her first 3 matches, she will see a top 8 player at Wimbledon, and she is 21 years old. She lost in the first round of Wimbledon last year, not the second round, the first round. She has never gone deep at a major. She has never won more than 4 matches at a Grand Slam. The grass court form is real. The ranking is real. The seed is real and historic, but the competition is also real. So here is the honest question for this video. Do you believe she has a real shot at the Wimbledon quarterfinal? Be honest. Tell us in the comments right now, yes or no. Because when she gets there and you called it first, you are going to want that comment to still be there. Let us go back to the number. 29th seed, Wimbledon, 2026. First Filipino in history, full stop. Not first this year, not first in recent memory, first ever. In over 100 years of Wimbledon, no Filipino player had ever walked into that draw as a seeded player. And she is also the first player from all of Southeast Asia to be seeded at a Grand Slam since Thailand's Tamarine Tanasugarn in 2009. 17 years. Nobody from this entire region of the world, hundreds of millions of people across multiple countries, had earned a Wimbledon seed in 17 years. And now this girl from Pasig City, coached first by a grandfather with a basket of balls, who flew to Spain at 13 with no blueprint, who got blown off the court in Rome, and then came back quietly and beat 2 Grand Slam champions on grass in the same week. She is that person. And Manny Pacquiao saw it on national television. The man who is the greatest Filipino athlete who has ever lived, the man who fought for this country in the ring for decades and made the entire world say the word Philippines every time he walked out. That man watched Eala play tennis and said, "When I watched her playing, I'm so proud of her." And Greg Rusedski, a former Wimbledon contender himself, put it even more directly. He called her the Manny Pacquiao of the Philippines. Think about what that means. The Manny Pacquiao of the Philippines. That is not a tennis compliment. That is a once-in-a-generation compliment. That is someone saying, this player is not just good at a sport. This player is a national identity. This player is what a country points to and says, look what one of us can do. 29th seed, first Filipino, and Manny Pacquiao is watching. But here is the part of this story that will stay with you. After Alex beat Rybakina and Svitolina in Berlin and sat down for an interview, someone asked her about Wimbledon, about what it meant to be seeded there for the first time. She said, "To be a seed in a slam, and Wimbledon in particular, for me, it really touches close to home." Close to home. Not close to her career goals, not close to her ranking targets, close to home. Because home, for Alex Eala, is not just the Philippines. Home is a court in Pasig City. Home is a grandfather who showed up every single day with a basket of tennis balls. Home is a man named Lolo Bob, who was not a professional coach, who had no connections to the WTA, who had no idea how to get a girl to Wimbledon, but who knew how to show up, who knew how to put in the work, who knew how to love someone hard enough that they carry it with them onto every court in the world. He died in 2019. He never saw Miami. He never saw Berlin. He never saw the seed. But she said it herself. She said, "He was the one who showed up every day and put in the work." So much of my foundation, my mentality, my bravery on court comes from the tough love and sacrifice he gave me. She walks into Wimbledon on June 29 as the 29th seed. Her grandfather will not be in the stands. But if you watch her play, and you watch how she carries herself, and you watch how she does not panic when it gets hard, and you watch how she just goes back to work after a loss, you will see him. You will see him in every single shot. That is who Alex Eala is. That is why 115 million people are watching. And that is why Manny Pacquiao stopped what he was doing and said he was proud. Wimbledon starts June 29. Alex Eala is seeded 29th. The draw comes out this weekend. So we are asking you directly, how far does she go? First round exit? Quarterfinal? Does she make history again and go further than any Filipino woman ever has at a Grand Slam? Drop your prediction in the comments right now, because this story is not over. It is not even close to over. And when it happens, you are going to want to say you saw it coming.